Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. With the New York Subliners back in action later today with their new fourth, Neptune has had a few words to say on the issues that he felt with the roster, the confidence that got destroyed really by playing in this team dynamic, and the playstyle he was forced into that did not fit his particular preferences. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you are new as always, I'd really appreciate it. So with the algorithm, let's just dive straight into things because Charlie Intel says the following: Attack on Titan skin back in the game. We talked about this the other day, right? The fact that, okay, this is apparently perfectly fine and realistic, but trophy systems, they're just, well, nowhere to be found, unfortunately, as of right now. This also from Infinity Ward. I believe they're revealing the game Modern Warfare 2 very soon indeed. They seem to be happy about it. Pretty much everyone else on the timeline seems to be happy about it, that knows what's going on here, but maybe that just means it looks good. Does it play good? That's of course one of the key issues, right? I'm sure maybe Infinity Ward haven't necessarily had too much preference for the competitive scene at the last couple of titles. This also from Arcitys, right, talking about how Vanguard plays for competitive, right, and well, just how it plays in general, quality of life updates that may or may not be coming through. Arcitys reckons yesterday spawns might be slightly different. This is of course no real surprise. Before a tournament weekend or a match weekend, usually something gets changed in the game. Now whether they'll play on this current patch update or whatever, but something has clearly come through that Arcitys reckons spawns have changed to some degree, but I mean still, things are kind of changing in the game. Other things also are changing though for the positive, it seems, with new maps coming into the game. So Casablanca and Gondola are the two maps that have just been added, and aBeZy is really confident that Casablanca could be used, because right now we really do need a fifth map in the game. Like, I mean, I'm pretty sure right now we only have 4 in search, 4 in hardpoint, and 2 in control, which is pretty tragic. We need 553 really, and well, hopefully Casablanca can be that one. So, well, aBeZy says he reckons it could work. These are the two maps actually that Mack points out. So first of all, we've got Casablanca. This is obviously a pretty traditional 3-lane style map. There's maybe slightly more connectors between the lanes than would be traditional in a map, but I mean, still, there's 1 lane here, there's 1 lane here, there's 1 lane here. It probably should play okay. Not sure how this looks from a first-person perspective, but you know, with any luck, it's going to be okay. Gondola is just, there's no way this is going to work, honestly. Maybe in a weird case in Search and Destroy, but I don't really know how they could possibly claim in kind of the article that they did this is a 3-lane style map, because I'm not really sure where you're drawing the lanes here. There's maybe 2 at best, but unless you're counting one of these as a lane, I'm not really sure what's going on down here. But yeah, still, I don't imagine this is going to be played. Casablanca, though, seems relatively likely to at least be considered, and that the pros obviously have been having a look at it, thinking it might well work. So this is how it looks in hardpoint. P1 is absolutely tiny, but and it seems like this team spawns way closer to P1 than the other team does. So not sure what's happening here. Maybe they need to tweak something or other, but still, this is how it goes. I actually quite like the way the rotations look on this map, right? It makes a fair bit of sense. P1 to P2 relatively close, and then P3 over here. But it seems right now the red team gets so much advantage, spawns to P2 and a big advantage getting to P1. As I say, I'm not sure how this looks from a first-person perspective, but still, it looks relatively promising. This also, you've got the A and B bomb sites here in the Search and Destroy, and very similar spots actually where the control points are. So of course, this is you know, control points maybe slightly farther apart than you'd usually see them. Sometimes you want it to be slightly easier to rotate. You'd have one maybe in the middle, one over at the side, but still, it probably works okay. We just need a map that the spawns are actually not terrible on for control, and then it actually will be viable. So hopefully this works out to good effect. Casablanca hoping it arrives into the game. This also to mention real quick from Chrome, because the CDL packs are finally coming here to Vanguard, and he points out that the Boston one is not going to be there when they are made first available, we believe, in just a couple of days time here with the start of Season 2, because I mean, yeah, for whatever reason, even though Boston's been announced and ready to go, I'm pretty sure for over a month now as an organization, like they still haven't managed to get it in the game yet. So not sure what's happening there. Don't know how long it takes to approve any of this stuff, but well, the actual packs did get leaked on the timeline. Chrome didn't really want to tweet it out because of DMCA type stuff, and I thought what I'd do instead really is just show last year's ones, because they're basically copy and paste. Like, maybe the skins this year are slightly nicer, slightly more colorful, slightly more better contrast, but basically everything else is the same. Like the weapon camo, for example, still doesn't have the team logo on, which is so frustrating, right? That's kind of the one thing that people complain about. Nadeshot especially was talking about it, right? Like, okay, I'm giving them all the rights, right, to use Los Angeles Thieves and stuff like this, obviously. Like, why are they not putting LA Thieves, like, why are they not putting that on the camo, right? Like, I get it as a sticker and all this stuff, but why is the camo not with my actual team name on, as it was back in the good old days of Black Ops 3 when they kind of did this for the first time? So, not sure what's going on there. I guess on the positive, they are finally going to be in the game, with the exception of Boston Breach, which will arrive, I don't really know, but I mean, still, it's still not a massive step up over last year, but at least they're here, I guess, finally. Slightly later, though, no doubt, than last year. Let's dive into this from the New York Subliner side then, because it really has been chaos what's going on there these last couple of days. Well, firstly, some more salt in the wounds really here from Clayster to Neptune, because he tweeted this out by accident. I guess maybe at the compound or wherever they're kind of were practicing and stuff, Neptune might have still been logged into a PC, and then kind of Clay goes on to try and tweet out, and he ends up tweeting it on the wrong account, onto Neptune's account, right, and then he ends up tweeting it on his own. Nice little 4-piece in a scrim, clearly here against Toronto, when they were still playing playing with Neptune. But well, not the case anymore. We believe it's going to be Royalty into the team now as their 4th player for later today. They haven't actually announced it as of yet, which is yeah, kind of strange. We'll have a look at this no pressure documentary here in a second with a couple of the clips that came out. But well, Neptune said, look, I'll be back. He's ready to get back in business, maybe back in the league on another team or whatever the case might be there. But doesn't really seem too confident he's going to get brought back into the starting team on this roster. And has a few words to say really on where things went wrong. He really talked about how his confidence, like I imagine his confidence was pretty damn good coming into this team, getting to team with these guys. Like I'm sure he was really excited, right? And Crimsix was gassing him up on the flank and all this type of stuff a few months ago. And then all of a sudden nowadays, like that's very much fallen off a cliff, right? And he reckons his confidence has, definitely been hurt by being in this team dynamic. You'd imagine part of that might be because the way Crimsix and Clayster kind of act to the guys on the team and try and get the best out of them, that's not necessarily for every player. Like the style they have doesn't work for everyone. And you could argue that's on Neptune's personality and style, but yeah, could also be on Clayster and Crimsix, right? The way they conduct themselves on these teams. And Neptune goes on to say that he feels like he's much more confident and aggressive role when he's just out there getting kills. He was kind of forced into a box, he feels, in terms of his playstyle, and that didn't help his stats.
Stream, I'll be fine. Like, I'll be good, trust me. I feel like lately, like my confidence hasn't been there, and I feel like I'm just gonna like playing challengers, and I'll just do my thing. Exactly, gotta play to my strengths. Like me sitting in a corner on hill every single life is not my strengths, you know. Eating my every single play isn't like how I like it. That's not what got me this far in my career, you know.
So it is interesting to hear that from Neptune's perspective, that obviously he wasn't happy with the way things were conducted internally, right? And he felt like, the confidence was kind of getting ripped away from him. And like, it's just an interesting one really to see this again, because it happened last year that the team chemistry fell apart to some degree with the New York guys when just Clayster was there. But also, Dallas Empire had a very similar story, right, with Huke, very similar in a way. Talk from Crimsix about look at the minimap in terms of the plays that Huke were making, not happy about it at all. And getting rid of him on the team relatively quickly into the season as well. Similar boat really here to Neptune, right? So it is interesting to hear his perspective. Of course, like, well, you can look at it from the other side as well, in terms of what Clayster and Crimsix think on the matter. Because the No Pressure documentary came out yesterday on Crimsix and the rest of the guys. This was filmed generally pre-kickoff classic. So, of course, well, nothing as of late on the new stuff that's been going on. But I thought this is just fantastic stuff, really. Just great content that the scene has needed. But still, I thought it was particularly, actually, this clip is right here. I'll show it for you guys here in a second. That, Crim and Clay are discussing, like, and Clay basically says, look, Crim is looking for perfection. He's looking for nothing else than that. Like, I'm talking trash on some of the plays that these guys were making, and if this kind of vibe and environment isn't for you, then and maybe it wasn't with Neptune, like he gets quite quickly pushed away, and they're looking for another option.
I think the one thing that Crim brings to a team is an expectation of perfection.
You pushed out their tree, right? And that play is dog, dude. Like, I'd rather have someone go, like, literally just float.
The bar isn't higher for anyone else except for him and his team, and I think Crimsix helps me a lot when it comes to making sure people play correctly.
If I played like that, I don't think you guys understand how bad we'd lose. Like, we would lose by like 100 points.
Maybe.
Yeah,
That's why we have the good mix.
it's not a mix.
The biggest thing I've noticed is that like the practice and the vibes. Like I feel like practice has been like way harder and more intense. And I know that like if I up, like Crim or Clay, they're going to be on my ass about it.
So what do you guys think about the dynamic here? Because it seems to be a relatively consistent trend now in a way that we saw it with Crimsix last year on the Dallas Empire, that Huke after having such a great time. In fairness, that was with Crim and Clayster the year before, right? So it's not like this always happens, but it just seems to happen. And Crim even talked about it. I think there was an episode of The Flank where kind of Crim and Zuma went at it in terms of what's best for a team dynamic. And Crim kind of has a pretty hard hat type style, right? He's like, look, I'm going to tell you what's wrong, and if you haven't got the personality to take the criticism on board, then well, unlucky, you're going to be out of the team, right? And if you're not the type of personality that we can work with, then unlucky. And maybe they kind of felt that very early on here, and they felt like they needed another player on the team, because, look, at the end of the day, Crim and Clay now, especially together again in only a 4-man roster, they rule the show, right? If they want to get rid of something, it's just going to happen, right? The coach probably doesn't have too much of a say if they want to make a roster change. Crim and Clay are certainly ruling the roost over there right now. So, yeah, I guess they felt like Neptune didn't really fit into their system, but also Neptune kind of feels like, okay, maybe the way they treated me in the sense, like the way I was was getting called out for any mistakes I was making. It hurt my confidence. A very similar thing we really heard from Huke last year, right? So I guess Crimsix would be the common denominator in both those situations, but also the playstyle that Neptune kind of feels he was forced to play, like the box he was maybe put in by Crimsix and Clayster and the way they wanted him to behave didn't necessarily align with how he would like to have played. So very interesting stuff. Intrigued to your perspective in the comment section below for sure. The team that we believe that they're going to be rocking into today's matchup with is Hydra, Crimsix, Clayster and Royalty. Yet to be confirmed. We believe that Royalty is their fourth player. When it is confirmed, I'm sure there will be some more talk and chatter on this one. And of course, we'll see later today whether it works out for them or whether they have some sort of crazy honeymoon period as things kick off. Wanted to share this actually also real quick just from Shotzzy, because he had some thoughts on this change as well. He reckons that, well, look, this change was just way too early. If Dallas Empire and Crimsix and Clayster or whatever had dropped me after that one performance he had in one of these early home series back in Modern Warfare, then of course the team would not have become what it did.
I know, I'm honestly surprised that I'm so surprised that they even like subbed them. I don't know who it's for, but I'm honestly really surprised who they subbed them for. Or I'm surprised on him getting benched. It's way too early. I feel like it's way too early, bro. Only two? Put it like this, bro. Put it like this. Ready? If they didn't drop, if my MW team didn't like drop me in the beginning of the game when I had that really bad event, that should have been just like, it takes time, man.
So maybe Crimsix and Clayster kind of felt somewhat differently about Shotzzy and the potential in the future that he has as a player rather than Neptune in their team. But of course, look, we're never going to really know what's going on the inside of the New York camp right now. Let's dive into this then. So this is the schedule for this week. 4 games going on today, only 2 on the Sunday this time because the Super Bowl is on. So they're bringing it back to a 4-game Friday. So Boston Breach, Paris Legion, Rokkr, Surge, Ultra Guerrillas, and Subliners Thieves. Very interesting matches here, actually. I think that Boston should be favored. I'll take them in a 3-1 fashion. You guys know I love a 3-1 fashion. Seattle versus Rokkr is interesting. I think I'm going to go 3-1 Surge again, but I mean, still, this could always go game 5. The thing is with Rokkr, if they do go to game 5, like it's really difficult to look past them a lot of the time. Like their Search and Destroy is very solid indeed. I just think that Seattle probably right now are too good in the respawns to let this series slip, and also they're very good at Search, so I think they'll find a way through this one. Ultra versus Guerrillas is quite exciting as LAG beat a pretty dysfunctional New York team last week, and I think that Toronto should come out here and handle business. I might even say 3-1 here all across the board, and then it's Subliners versus Thieves. I really don't know how to call this one because New York apparently looked really good in their practice yesterday with Seattle, with Royalty in the team. So whether they'll carry that in, and there is a honeymoon period here. Of course, Thieves still playing from Los Angeles, not so ideal. It's I think this is going to be a close series. I want to say 3-2 New York. I'm going to go out on a limb, but yeah, very much intrigued to your perspective and all this stuff in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hit on a like button. Tell us the YouTube gods this is a good video. I'd also like you should see it as well, and I've grown the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you as always. Take care, and I will see you next time.